Today, I wanted to talk about brass synthesis, brass instrument synthesis, specifically this sound. And the reason I want to talk about it is because I just had to figure it out for a job. I was writing some music in a particular style of hip hop that needed these brass hits, and they didn't want me using any samples. So I said, how hard could it be to just synthesize this thing myself? So I'm going to show you how to do this today with all stock Ableton stuff. So there's no third-party stuff needed. This is going to be an Ableton 11, but if you have 10, it should work. Let's just get into making the patch. Roll the credits, people. And let's get cooking. So first, you're going to need to open Wavetable, right? And there's a couple settings we have to dial in. So we're going to be using both oscillators. The first one, we're going to set this to about 39%. Okay, and then we're going to detune this by 12 steps. So it's going to be down an octave, right? Now we're going to go into Oscillator 2. We're going to move the position up just a little bit. And we're going to detune this one 2 octaves. So we're going to go down 24. And then I want to set the detuning here to just generate a little bit of motion in it. But slightly. We don't want to go too nuts with this. So this is going to be -5. So that's where we're at right now. The next thing I want to talk about is getting our envelope dialed in. So first, with the attack of the amp envelope, let's put this to about 60, let me type it in, 65 milliseconds is good. And then for the decay, we want about 1.5 seconds. All right, and then for our sustain, we want that all the way down, and the slope of our attack should be pretty much all the way up. Actually, let me increase our decay time. Oh wait, went to 1.5, not 1.5 seconds. Not 1.5 milliseconds, 1.5 seconds. So now our sound is gonna, so let's set the filter up first. Let's put this filter fairly low. Let's go like 45. Might not even be able to hear that. It's like taking almost everything out, right? But we're gonna put it back. We're gonna start moving in a second. So now I want to bring our resonance up to about, let's do like, I don't know, maybe like 30 something, 32, 33. It's probably good. All right, still very low. And then I want to use, I like this SMP. I don't know what synth it's based on, but we're going to overdrive it pretty significantly. Let me just watch my level here. Yeah, so we want a lot of drive. And like I said, when this filter opens up, it's gonna do a lot, but we need a fairly low starting point to begin from. And then down the line, I think we're gonna use, let's set this filter up to kind of set like a maximum distance that it's gonna go. So I like this at around 75,000 hertz, and a little bit of resonance here. Oh, that was too far. So yeah, as this filter opens up, get that kind of motion, but we still have to automate that in. So, right, just make sure both of these filters are set to low pass. Or excuse me, low pass. I always mix up the two, whatever, high pass, low pass. You know what I mean? It should be this shape. Just match the picture if my talking is confusing. But let's go to oscillator 1 position. Sit there so we get it. And if we set this to like the low 30s, upper 20s, you see how in here we're starting to get some motion now? That's what we want, right? Then let's do the same thing with oscillator 2. Set this a little lower. And this one, I want to really move a lot. Like this one is gonna move a little bit. This one we want to really move because that's what's gonna give us that bright pop at the front of the sound. And then I would actually dial back the level of oscillator 2. If you want it brighter, you can just put in more, but I like this one a little bit in the background, right? But okay, so next let's get the filter moving, because that's what's really gonna make this come to life. And I'm gonna put this fairly high. Let's go 80 something percent. All right, that makes a big difference. So the other thing I like to do to help get away from that like 80s Toto brass vibe, right, is we're gonna inversely modulate the resonance. So this, I'm gonna go negative 100. Right, and what this does is it makes, if you see the curve, it makes the curve flatten out as it goes higher. It just adds a more interesting motion. I didn't see this trick anywhere. This is something I just messed around with until it sounded good. And you can even play around with more resonance if you want. Yeah, I kind of like it there, actually. That's adding a lot. Now, let's add some pitch modulation as well. We're going to go back to envelope 2 to get this to happen. And the settings you want, we want to, again, drag the sustain all the way down. Drag the decay all the way down. And then for the attack time, we're going to go super long. Right? Like maybe this is at 10 seconds, right? It's not doing anything yet. But what you're going to do is you're going to map this to the pitch. So in envelope 2 of, well, not pitch, you're going to map it to the detuning is what I normally do of oscillator 1 and 2. And just to make sure that there's no phasing, I like to type these in so the number is the exact same thing for both. So let me go here, make this also 1.5. Very subtle pitch mod. I mean, you can, if you want more pitch modulation, like let's just put in something much higher, like let's see what 10 sounds like. Okay, that's doing enough. Actually, I might leave that there. So then lastly, this should be, let's actually do some stuff with the LFO, because we can further generate some motion. Let's take this, set it fairly kind of typical LFO, like 1 hertz and change. And then just do like a little bit of it. And this I actually want to modulate. Let's do oscillator 2 pitch as well. Just a little bit more. Let's say, take it up to 8, 9. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. For the synth, let's go noise. Put the voices all the way up and take the amount to like 20 or 30. Makes it more stereoized, sound kind of bigger. You can kind of season that one to taste, but I like it about in this range. I think this sounds good. Let's start adding some effects to further shape this thing. Next up, we're going to need overdrive for sure. And again, I would maybe turn up dynamics. I turn the tone down a little bit. Drag the little yellow graph. So here I will usually just do a high and low roll off just for some cleanup. Here you have a nice little control depending on how much bass you want to have. Might make sense to cut out lows, might make sense to leave it in, kind of depends on the context. This up. Comb filtering. I had to make these. Ableton does not have, to my knowledge, a comb filter that's just kind of built in. So I made one. If you want this, I can link to it in the description and you can download it. I'll make that a free thing that you can just grab. Yeah, so again, it kind of adds like a nice degradation to the signal here. So here it is without and with. I like to move these filters around. Find like a nice sweet spot. Some of that might depend on the key that you're working in as well, but anyway, like I said, I'll make this available. This is a little rack where you can slide all the combs around and adjust the width independently, as well as you can do a negative gain or a positive one. You know, whatever you want to do. This is just more up to you. This is what I like though. I'm gonna do an EQ8 again, just for, there's a lot of EQ, right? This is just for some shaping. Like, let me pull in some more low mids. Then next up, I'm gonna bring in Ableton's Multiband. And then I'm gonna use this basically to just boost mid-range. Let me actually pull the same thing up here. Just make it sound more gnarly, more gross. Yeah. And let me lower the timing here. So I want to use the attack and release time to control how quick it grabs in the highs. So that sounded pretty good, just without doing much. All I really did, just to recap, right, the above time, I took it down to 0.77, a little boost in the mids, and then the high frequencies, around the same ratio, no boost. And of course, you can adjust this to taste. You could have nothing. Bring in a little bit, right? And finally, we're gonna need reverb. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, this is. I wouldn't think about this too much. And again, this can be adjusted for whatever you're doing. I mean, I'll bring the diffusion up a little bit, long decay times, more stereo information. Changing the mode is fun. Bump this up a little bit and take out some of the lows just so it doesn't get too muddy. Actually bring the highs down a little bit too. Something like that. Before we bundle this together, I put a limiter at the end. And if it's really hitting the limiter hard, utility plugin before that. Just to get the gain under control. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you're able to make this sound successfully. If there's any other sounds you're interested in, you could leave a comment. Or if anything's unclear, you could tell me. I check those things pretty regularly, so I hope this is able to shed some light on some things. And you know what to do. You gotta like, you gotta subscribe, you need to hit the bell if you want to see more stuff like this, because I will be doing many more. Peace.